Assalamu alaikum students. So today we'll be studying about the respiratory system, which is your chapter number 3. So please do make a title page and write the title of the chapter, which is respiratory system, and do write the day and date so you know when we started this chapter. And I'm going to start reading to you kids and start explaining what we're learning today. This is really interesting. So, the respiratory system is the system that deals with breathing. So, already you know that respiratory system helps you with breathing. Breathing is when you take in oxygen, when you take in oxygen and you give out carbon dioxide, and then the oxygen is used to supply oxygen to all parts of your body so they can utilize it and use energy in a way. So, when we breathe, we take in the oxygen we need to survive and expel carbon dioxide that we don't need. Just like I explained, because air contains all these other gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide. So, oxygen is the one you need to survive, and carbon dioxide is the one you need to expel because we do not need it, right? And then the main organ in the respiratory system is the lung. We have two lungs. We also use our nose, mouth, larynx, pharynx, and trachea. So I know these are a lot of fancy words and you're probably confused. So let me explain. So respiratory system is made up of a lot of different organs or parts, right? So first you need to know the main organ that's used for breathing in air or giving out carbon dioxide, right? So the main organ is your lungs. And these are your lungs over here, the one in pink. They're on your chest region. And then they're telling you that there are two lungs. And then they're telling you we also use our nose, which is over here. So we use our nose, we use our mouth, we use our larynx, pharynx, and trachea. So you're probably wondering what do we use them for and where are our larynx, pharynx, and trachea, right? So first of all, you need to know that you can breathe in through your nose as well as your mouth, right? And then you need to know that pharynx is the part at the back of your nose. So you should know that your mouth and your nose are connected at the back of your mouth, and that area behind your mouth that connects it to your nose is your pharynx. Now, you must be wondering, how can I know that my nose and my mouth are connected by a pharynx, right? First of all, everyone has this connection. Secondly, let's have an example. So sometimes you're, let's say, drinking water or you're drinking milk and you end up laughing. So everyone has this memory where the milk or the water comes out of your nose. And that's because the milk or the water from your mouth, it goes up the pharynx, as you can see, the pharynx, and it comes out of your nose, right? And then they're saying the larynx and the trachea. So larynx is over here, it's around your throat, and trachea is the one that connects your throat to your lungs, right? As we will read. It says over here, when you breathe in, air is inhaled through the nose and mouth and travels through the pharynx, larynx, and trachea into the lungs. So you should know that from your nose, it passes the pharynx, goes to the larynx, and into the trachea. And when you inhale through your mouth, it also passes through the pharynx, larynx, and the trachea, and then it goes into the lungs, right? So in the lungs there are about 600 million tiny air sacs called alveoli, or the singular form is alveolus. So as you can see over here, these tiny air sacs are called alveoli, right? And that's the plural form. So the alveoli take oxygen out of the air and put it into the blood, where it is then pumped throughout the body. So you're just making a connection between your circulatory system that you studied last class and this system, right? So you already know that the oxygenated blood from the body goes into the right atrium, then into the right ventricle, and from there it goes into the lungs, right? So now you're making the connection that when it goes into the lungs, these capillaries, right, they're in the lungs and they're lining the alveoli. And over there, the alveoli takes and over there, the alveoli, what it does is when you inhale, every second you're inhaling, right? So there's also the air is inside the alveoli, and the lining, the blood capillaries that's lining the alveoli contains the blood that came from your heart, right? So what alveoli does is it takes the oxygen from the air, gives it to the capillaries, and takes the carbon dioxide from the capillaries and contains it in the air that then you expel, right? Or exhale. So that's the next part we're reading. It says when you breathe out, the opposite happens. Carbon dioxide from the blood is absorbed by the alveoli and then travels through the trachea, larynx, pharynx to your mouth and nose where it leaves the body. Just like what I told you kids, right? So, bronchiole is basically an extension in the lung that makes up the alveoli, right? And that's all you need to know over here. Students, so now it's your homework time. If you haven't already, please make a title page with the title of Respiratory System, write the day and date, and now we're going to underline the hard words and you will write them in your notebook 3 times. So the first word is respiratory. It's referring to the respiratory system that we just read about. Your second word is breathing. And as you know, the main function of respiratory system is with breathing, right? Your third word is survive, and that just means to live. And your fourth word is expel, and that means giving out or taking out. And your other word is lung, which is the main organ of your respiratory system. And the other words are larynx, pharynx, and trachea. So these 3 words, they're separate and they also make up the respiratory system. They help you to breathe in air and give it out. Your other word is inhaled, which means to take in air. And your other word is alveoli, which is the tiny sacs that are inside the lungs and they do the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen in your blood. The singular form of alveoli is also your underlined word, which is alveolus. And then the other word is pumped, which is an action. And your other word is absorbed, which is also a verb. And another word is bronchiole, which is the extension inside the lung that forms the air sac, right? So first comes bronchiole, and then from that bronchiole, you get air sacs, right? So those are your underlined words. Now we will move to your exercise number 2, which is question and answers, and we'll finish this. Okay, students, so this is your last exercise, which is exercise number 2. It's question and answers. So please, if you haven't already, do make a title page with the chapter's name, which is Respiratory System. And you're supposed to do exercise number 1 before this, which is writing the underlined hard words. And let's get started. So the first question is, name the organs that make up the respiratory system. So if you all were present during the lecture and really understood it well, you would understand this answer, which is the main organ of the respiratory system are our 2 lungs. The nose, mouth, pharynx, larynx, and trachea also help in respiration. Then your second question is what gases are exchanged when we breathe in and breathe out? So oxygen is taken in when we breathe in and carbon dioxide is expelled when we breathe out. So that's the answer for question number 2. And your last question is which gas is important for our survival? So as you know, the answer for that is oxygen is important for our survival as it's needed by the body. So these are your question and answers, and we have completed chapter number 2. Good job, everyone. I'm so glad you all stuck around. It's a pleasure teaching you all, and thank you so much. I'll see you in the next class.